Hey, you're listening to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM 89.0 and ArrowFM. As always, I'm Grady, but not even live on Skype, live on Zoom this week. We have a special guest, one Sammy G. Why don't you introduce yourself to the people?
All right, this is the voice of reason, Sammy G, all the way from the Manawatu. I am one of the co-hosts of Pipebombs and Headlocks here at NPR. Also, alongside Grady, we are contributors to the NZPWI, New Zealand Pro Wrestling Informer. What do you want to know? Wrestling fan since the Attitude Era. Started out with video games and then slowly got introduced to actual wrestling thanks to WrestleMania 15. Grew up playing the Extreme Warfare series on PC. So if you're into like wrestling booking and things, that's like still my go-to. And yeah.
There we go. And obviously you're going to be able to talk about Raw and SmackDown with us this week, and maybe we'll branch out into other things. But before we get too into it, if people wanted to hit you up, you got the Facebooks and the Twitters links?
Oh, yes. So on all social media, we are at PBNH Show. And if you want to drop us an email, if you want to send us any ideas for fantasy bookings, pbnhshow@gmail.com. And if you want to send us any live event reviews, like anything you've seen around New Zealand, or if you're touring and you're overseas and you see something, be like, hey, PBNH should talk about that, then send it through.
There we go. And we will roll into Raw. I'm going to start off with the Elimination Chamber connotation stuff here. What did you think about the announcement of the women's tag team belts?
I am actually excited about this because we haven't seen them since like the late 80s. So the fact that they're bringing it back, the biggest thing that I've noticed is that there's only one set. So that's like obviously branching both brands, which is going to be interesting. It kind of reminds me of when they had the Undisputed title in the first ever WWE draft back in 2002, with the Undisputed champion would bounce back between brands. So yeah, having the women's tag team titles doing the same kind of thing is going to be quite fun going forward.
I know there's been some questions surrounding whether it would also branch off to NXT. I think the exclusion of the Sky Pirates and the team in this match may indicate towards the negative, but is that something you'd like to see?
NXT getting shots at belts, yes. I've always felt that, like, and especially with another roster shakeup potentially coming later this year, that NXT should be included in that because it'd be way more exciting.
I think, first off, the belts look amazing. I can't fault them on their design for that. But as you said, bringing them back, I don't know. I don't recall WWE having referenced the old ones.
No,
but about it. Yeah, I guess their whole thing is like, evolution going forward. So I guess we're just going to stray away from that and just mention, these are our iconic things heading forward. And then putting them into the Elimination Chamber match as well, I thought was a bit of a twist. It wasn't exactly the stipulation that I was expecting to be the one to crown these women's tag teams.
It's really random, but at the same time, it's adding a different dynamic to the chamber and how it can be used, so totally all for that.
Ignoring the fact that Nikki Cross and Alicia Fox teamed up on Raw, which I'm just going to completely and utterly brush past when talking about the competitors in this match. We got Nia Jax and Tamina, obvious pairing, they've been together. Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, been together since Paige brought them in. The Riot Squad also there as well. Iconics came up from NXT together. Bayley and Sasha, this on-again, off-again feud that they've had for the past 20 years. And then the jammed together team of Naomi and Carmella as the sixth team.
Yeah, I mean, those two kind of make sense. I mean, they're all about entertaining and, dance breaks and whatnot, so it does make sense.
Is that your excuse for putting the only two women left together in a team?
Dance break in the chamber.
True, they can just do it in the pod.
Yeah, just get the cardio going, dance in the chamber, and potentially win some tag belts.
I feel like if I was ranking them, remembering that the Iconics are in this match, I'm still going to put Naomi and Carmella at the bottom in terms of chances to win this match. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts on who you think will be emerging from the chamber with.
Dare I say it, I'm going to go with the Hug and Boss connection with this one.
Yeah, I think that's I don't want to call it that, but the safe option when looking at the competitors here. I think when the belts first got batted around as an idea, everyone sort of saw it as, that's where Bayley and Sasha are heading. They mentioned it a couple times in promos. They seem to be, where they broke apart, did their fighting, and they came back together. It felt like that would have been maybe the better time to do it, and we've sort of just stalled until now. It feels like if we stall all this way and then still don't do it, then it's a bit of a waste. But if I'm looking at the teams, they got some strong competitors there as well. It's possible they're going to, put them in the hands of the Riot Squad. Could run with it. I probably wouldn't expect them to go with a Freebird 3-person stable off the bat. So that's the only thing that's leading me away from them, but it's possible that Liv and Sarah just hold them themselves, with Ruby just being, I guess, the benevolent overlord leader of the trio.
Like, we've had the New Day, passing around the belts and just choosing who's involved in title matches. As long as it's in the stable, they can kind of pick and choose who's actually defending them. Undisputed Era and NXT is another good example of that. So yeah, even though they're a 2-person stable, you can still easily tag in, tag out, choose who's defending. Yeah.
It also makes it better, I guess, when one of them gets inevitably injured, and you need the other two to keep running with it for a little while. But I'm very much... I don't want to discount the Iconics purely because of where we live, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to win either.
And Zack Pride, come on, man.
I would pop the loudest you've ever heard if they did win, but I'm not going to expect it. I'm going to expect them to potentially be the first team eliminated, and probably start the match off, looking at the other teams potentially against Nia Jackson to me, and just have the two bigger ones beat the ever-loving HE double hockey sticks out of them. So we'll wait and see in terms of that. But I'm with you with the Bayley Sasha thing. But I guess the question after that one is, sure, Bayley and Sasha win them, but towards WrestleMania, where do you see the potential?
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, if you're just going to give them to them straight off the bat, then who's going to be the ones to face them? And that's where it gets tricky. I guess it would be more interesting to have them not win the belts and then actually work towards Mania and win them there. Going back to the whole Iconics, Nia Jax, Tamina starting thing, there's also a lot of comedy in that too, because the Iconics, bring that level of humor to their characters and doing so. They could have a lot of fun, again, starting that match with Nia Jax and Tamina. Mandy Rose and Sonya could be fun to feud against going into Mania. Bayley and Sasha.
I can see it. I could also see the Riot Squad, I guess, just because they've mixed it up quite a bit already heading into here. I also know that if we roll our minds all the way back to WWE Evolution, Trish and Lita stuck around a little bit, and there were rumors of them working through till WrestleMania, and then they just faded away again. But I don't know if maybe those were mixed up and they were Trish and Lita working WrestleMania rather than working up to, and maybe we see them pop back up.
And be like, hey, which
pretty much.
And also, because it will be a split brand kind of belt, if we are going to put the belts on SmackDown, then you're going to need a team from Raw to, challenge for them, or vice versa. So again, if Naomi and Carmella win the belts at the Chamber, they could easily get challenged by Bayley and Sasha on Raw, and that sets up that cross-brand inter-promotional match at Mania for the belts.
Yeah, the thing for, I guess, Banks and Bayley, I've seen battered around so much. I think it was a really nice photoshopped image that had them holding up the tag belts. There was Becky holding up the Raw Women's belt, and then Charlotte holding up the SmackDown Women's belt, and as a potential ending to WrestleMania. I don't know if we're going to go the route of put all the belts on all the people, but it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, you can't help but have the whole 4 horsewoman thing like just sitting in the back of the mind the whole time. And we talk about this on PBNH all the time. Obviously, the fact that Rousey's in the E, you've got Shayna Baszler, Marina Shafir, and Jessamine Duke, obviously big part of NXT now. And all the work that they've been doing around just building up this Becky Ronda face-off at Mania. And you could easily do the 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen thing by, say, Survivor Series, or even build it for another year. Do it next year as a 4-on-4 tag team match. There's just so much potential in that situation, and it could go like either way.
Yeah, I've always thought potentially that if this is what we're doing this year, that next year will sort of be the focus of that 4v4 feud. I'm hoping to push it off a little bit further just because a couple of the girls down in NXT could potentially do with that extra bit of time, just polishing up what they do. I think Shane is good to go. I think the other two could do with it.
I mean, they're doing live events and things, and they're doing really well on TV. But yeah, totally agree that, more time just to train up and get used to the style and, debut further down the line.
But Survivor Series does seem, I guess, cherry-picked as a type of concept for the 4v4. Obviously, usually a 5v5 match, but it wouldn't be unheard of to do. Well,
we know that, Natalia is on good terms with Ronda, so there's nothing kind of stopping her from getting involved in that as well and picking someone else to join the NXT 4, if you will.
Yeah. I feel like I would almost be cheated. I finally got, they built towards it and it was the 4 horsewomen and the 4 horsewomen and they put an extra fodder person on each team. I feel like I'd just be mad. I'd just be sitting there going like, no, give me the 4v4. And maybe that's part of their plan, and then that's towards the WrestleMania where they have the proper 4. There's a whole lot of options.
In between that you can tease again that moment happening. And
I think the main focus of WWE's women's division heading forward for the next year is going to be the 8 horsewomen from different tribes, different groups. And that's going to be the main driving force. Maybe they'll swerve us and they'll do something we did.
There was also talk of adding Charlotte to the Becky and Ronda match. And again, I really hope that they don't do this. I feel like we've earned Becky versus Ronda one-on-one. It's been building since even before Survivor Series. Just give us the singles match. Make it the main event. It should definitely be like at the top there. We've never had a women's main event at WrestleMania. This is definitely all the potential to do it. I don't want them to add a third person.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. Like pre Royal Rumble, I was very heavily on the triple threat side of things, just because I thought that's the way we were going to go forward. And then seeing Becky win it on her own, it's like, okay, cool, now just stop. Just let this happen as it is. And there's so many little avenues that they've opened up for Charlotte to jump down and be like, I'm still here, put me in this match. So yeah, it's highly likely that's the route they go, but I'm with you in being against it. I think the 1v1 will be a better poster. It's going to be more balanced, one on each side. But yeah, I think it's the better option.
But that also leads to the problem with the SmackDown Women's Championship scene is that, Asuka's got the belt now. And if they are going to go with the image of Sasha and Bayley with the tag belts, Ronda with the Raw the Raw Women's Championship, and then you've got Charlotte winning the SmackDown Women's Championship, that means that she has to beat Asuka at WrestleMania again. It's gonna suck for Asuka, but good for Charlotte.
You got to come to terms that some things are gonna happen. Generally, walking out of WrestleMania, I'm happy with like 80% of the outcome, and then the other 20% is like necessary evils that I knew had to happen. And I feel like this year is going to be no.
Well, they could swerve us like they did with Survivor Series. Like, I'd already mentally prepared for AJ versus Brock Part 2. And then, obviously, like a few days before Survivor Series, Daniel Bryan picks up the WWE Championship. I was like, oh, didn't see that coming.
I think anyone saw that coming. I think everyone saw AJ Styles going on to break the record, and then it just sort of snapped, and he gets a little bit more time off for his family. After, I think it was like over a year, I think at that point. I don't remember the number.
Dominant champion. Yeah.
And
SmackDown Hemp Championship.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
The wooden plates I really like. And I think it's unique going forward.
Yeah.
I worry that it's an avenue to bring in the blue belt to make everything even up.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah.
That's my only worry.
Well, with the new Fox deal coming up, like I could easily see them just unifying belts, and there's only one set of women's tag team belts, so they can easily get sort of passed around. I think, unifying the championships or making the belts cross-brand could get very interesting.
It's not like the Universal title's ever seen, anyways.
Exactly. See,
it's perfectly fine. I told you time was going to get away from us. It's already been 16, 17 minutes. That means it is time to play a song. And although my usual co-host Josh couldn't be here this week, he did pick the theme. And he is a big R-Trizzle fan. So it will be R-Truth's theme.
What's up?
And you're back with Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM and ArrowFM. Grady and Sammy G, special guests this week. We're on the SmackDown side of things now. We got to rush it a little bit because we talked about our Raw Women's division for a bit too long.
Totally
but
deserve, though. You have to be fair about it.
They have been the focal point of WWE for the last 4 months, pretty much ever since Evolution.
Yep.
But we can't spend any more time. We have to talk about the WWE Championship scene. Daniel Bryan going to be defending his hemp belt in the chamber against AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, Mustafa Ali, Randy Orton, and Samoa. Some big names up there.
Yeah, and just looking at it, like, I don't even know who I want to back in this match. Like, I mean, it'd be awesome to see Jeff Hardy with a championship again. It'd be awesome to see Randy with a belt again. Same with Samoa Joe. Mustafa Ali has done so well for himself recently. Like, I'm behind like all of these names, and so I can't win it. It's not fair.
Yeah, though if logic goes the way of the Revival complaining and getting shots, and now Randy Orton potentially complaining about leaving the company, maybe Randy will find himself with the...
Yeah, it's so cheap, but like I get it. Obviously, they're not happy with the company. Obviously, greener pastures are not too far ahead in the distance. A lot of people already making the jump. I mean, it would be weird to see Randy over there. I'm just throwing that out there.
I feel like Randy's is a bit more of a contractual money making of just trying to get WWE to throw more money at him. But we'll see. You never know. I'm with you in this. This has a lot of options. I feel like giving it back to AJ Styles now is probably the least likely option. I think, Daniel Bryan just got Eric Rowan. He just used the hemp belt. He's just starting to get rolling. I'd see Daniel Bryan holding this probably through Fastlane as well. I think Daniel Bryan might go into WrestleMania as the champ. In terms of who faces him there or the outcome of that match, I can't predict that.
I would be stoked to see Mustafa Ali get his WrestleMania moment in a title match.
Yeah, Mustafa has been, I guess, he was on 205 Live, and people seem to have this bad view of 205 Live, but we're fairly opinionated here that the Cruiserweights put on some of... And then...
Did you see the pre-show for the Rumble?
The Cruiserweights are great. And Mustafa Ali rocks up onto SmackDown, rockets pretty much into the main event scene, has been putting on match after match after match after match. So he's definitely a favorite, I guess. But the two question marks for me in terms of not being booked in this match but still being in the upper echelon of SmackDown would be Rey Mysterio, Andrade.
Andrade Cien Almas. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's right. It's just Andrade now.
He lost a bunch of his names. It's the same as Heavy Machinery and now Otis and Tucker.
Which is a lot easier to say. It's
His whole name is the Dozer Dozovic. You just... Whatever. I'm not going to sit here and complain about last names being taken away. But Andrade and Rey, I guess, could have a collision course. Their 2 out of 3 falls match was pretty good. And by that I mean quite damn great. Is their course headed the chamber? Is it headed to WrestleMania? And is it going to be a mask versus hair?
I don't want to picture Andrade without hair. I like what he's got now. Like it suits him. Rey, I mean, if you do have the WWE Network and you've gone back and watched some old WCW Nitros, we've seen Rey without his mask before. It's not a bad thing. But obviously, like, those masks carry a lot of respect behind them. And I can't see Rey without it in WWE, but maybe I'm about to.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, Rey has lost his mask once before in the WWE, but he didn't keep it off for long. So
that was against Punk, but I'm probably completely wrong in that.
Yeah. It's highly possible. I don't have a great memory for this sort of stuff, so I'm gonna just agree to whatever you say and say yes, it was Punk.
It all starts blurring.
Yeah, wrestling has been around for a very, very long time.
There's a lot of history.
Here we go. He lost against CM Punk at Extreme Rules 2010. But Rey Mysterio's wager was his hair, according to Witter's Mask. He also lost teaming up with Conan against Kevin Nash and Scott Hall at Super Brawl, 9 in 1999.
Yeah, that's the one that I remember. I remember Kevin Nash definitely being involved in the fact that Ray lost his mask. So
totally probably wasn't decided by him either.
Creative control is a wonderful thing.
So, yeah, there's some options. I would expect those two to collide at WrestleMania. Whatever the stipulation and outcome being, we'll see closer to the time. WrestleMania's still like 2 months away. But that would lead me to believing that it's going to be one of these guys in the chamber heading against Daniel Bryan further down the line. So I'm with you. I'm going to pick Mustafa Ali versus Daniel Bryan. Daniel going in as champ. With all the hype on the other matches, like the Raw Women's Universal, it's possible that the WWE Championship is lower down match order-wise. So, like, I'm pretty sure the WWE Championship is the show. So it's not outside the world of possibility, or one of the championships, in the case of being around still.
Edge and Jericho, I think, opened one of the Manias, possibly 26?
It's around there.
Yeah.
There's the one with, like, the yellow and red theme.
Yeah.
Whichever one that is. I think Daniel Bryan and Sheamus, 18 seconds or however long it was.
That was 28.
That was, I believe, an opener as well. So there's always a chance. I feel like it would be quite a surprise if it is Daniel Bryan, Mustafa Ali, with Mustafa Ali winning the belt to put it on early. But you never know with the match order of WrestleMania. That thing goes for like 8-9 hours.
Oh, yeah. Rumble this year was 7. That's including the 2-hour pre-show. And then the 5-hour actual event itself. So Mania is going to be a full-day event as well.
It's the thing that I'm kind of glad is that I'll just, tune into the pre-show with like an hour left and then just binge only the match content parts of the pre-show rather than all the talking stuff. So I'm glad to be able to skip around like that on the network as opposed to being like a Sky subscriber and just being like, no, you watch it from where it is.
This is what's...
That's pretty much it. The network's been out for like 4 years now-ish, it feels like. Maybe less than that. But I can't imagine pay-per-views without it now. It's just so much nicer to be able to skip around, watch later, pause, that sort of stuff.
Oh, I'm a total convert for the network. Like, yeah, again, it's just changed wrestling. Even pretty sure Dana White from the UFC said how they want to get more like the WWE network in terms of their providing and how they're getting their content to their supporters and again, like on the network itself, just the tape libraries that WWE's managed to put on the network in the archive, and hopefully more deals are being done in the background that will get more stuff in the future. I'm looking at you, TNA.
It's Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, that's now. I'm talking about. I want that TNA tape. Like, yeah.
I don't know who owns the old. I'd assume it's still with Anthem.
Yeah.
I'd assume it's just a part of the package deal, unless they've sold it off in between. Like, there was talks at one point, I think Dixie's selling it on, but I don't know if they ended up. Actually, it might be, is it on GFN or whatever the Global Force Network is?
The Global Wrestling Network, yeah. They do a lot of Impact broadcasts. Like, you can watch a lot of the recent product. Okay. I think subscribers, you can go back and watch more of the old TNA stuff. And that's actually one cool thing that WWE's done with some of their documentary style things, like the Kurt Angle Homecoming. There's some stuff with Sting where they've actually promoted the Global Wrestling Network for being able to provide that footage of Sting doing his thing and Angle doing. So yeah, they're actually promoting it as a viable option to get a lot of the Impact Wrestling content. So that's quite cool of them.
All right, well, I'm seeing big numbers over on my my recording monitor, and that probably means we're talking to the show. I'm going to give you one more chance to pimp your links out and to throw everything you can.
Oh, how many seconds have I got? I've kind of
just go nuts.
Go nuts. All right. So, Pipebombs and Headlocks, Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. on MPR, Manawatu People's Radio here in the Manawatu. At PB&H Show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to email us any fantasy booking ideas for myself and Rosie and Rob to put together, pbnhshow@gmail.com. If you want to give us any feedback, use the email address. And of course, we have got the Access Internet Radio NZ app on Google Play and iOS app stores. So you totally download that. You can find us. You can find the Wrestling Roundup. You can find Manic Mondays down at Radio Southland. So all of us talking about our love of wrestling. Did I miss anything?
Not that I know of. So you hit many more things than I usually hit.
Boom.
So I'm going to count that as a positive. Thanks for jumping in at short notice today.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me.
And it's been Wrestling Roundup. If you want to find us, you can go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/WrestlingRradio, Twitter page, twitter.com/WrestlingRradio. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.